Welcome back to the Citizen Data Academy. This video is the fifth in our community planning module. One of our most popular web apps is the Drainage and Flood Zones web app. You can find it at the top of the gallery in the EBRGIS portal and with the URL listed here. This map is quite detailed and complex, with many layers to choose from. This tutorial video will explore it in detail, so that you can get the most from using this helpful tool. The Drainage and Flood Zones web app displays data provided by the FEMA Digital Flood Insurance rate maps and other basemap layers from the EBRGIS data repository. Users can view flood hazard area boundaries and other flood or drainage related layers to overlay with property data in East Baton Rouge Parish. This tool can provide useful information about local flood zones and drainage basins, whether you're a citizen concerned about your property or a land developer. There are 18 layers in the layer list. As always, you can toggle any of them on and off and combine them however you like. Some of the layers are highly detailed and will require you to zoom in to activate them. We'll start by exploring the 7 layers that are visible by default. The core focus of this map is found in the 2 flood hazard area layers. These layers divide the parish into flood hazard areas, as defined in FEMA's digital flood insurance rate maps. In simple terms, FEMA divides the flood zones in this map into categories A and X, and there are subcategories within Zone A, such as Zone AE. It is important to understand the distinctions. The city parish encourages everyone, regardless of flood zone, to purchase flood insurance. Most lenders require flood insurance on properties as a condition of your mortgage if your structure is within a special flood hazard area. I'll manipulate the map and explain each zone in detail. You can refer to the legend to keep track of the active layers displayed in the map. The area shown in dark green is Flood Zone Shaded X. This represents FEMA's area of moderate flood hazard, between the limits of the 100 and 500 year floods. In layman's terms, this is the area between the limits of the 1% annual chance and the 0.2% annual chance flood, or the area that is protected by a levee. Severe flooding in these areas is very unlikely, but not impossible, and residents who live in these areas should still be prepared for a flooding event. The area in purple shows the FEMA-designated floodways in the parish, most notably along the Amite River, along with White Bayou and Cypress Bayou near Zachary. Land development in these areas is highly regulated to ensure improvements do not cause an increase in water surface elevation. About half of East Baton Rouge Parish falls into the Zone X category, with some of the parish in the unshaded X zone, which is beyond the 500-year flood limit. The unshaded X flood zone is the light green area in the map. The other half of the parish falls into one of the 3 Zone A categories, which are designated as special flood hazard areas by FEMA. These areas lie within the 100-year flood limit. It is a popular misconception that a 100-year flood should only be expected once every 100 years. Despite the name, such a flood can happen multiple times in the same year, or not at all during a 100-year period. The term simply means there is a 1% chance, based on current hydrologic estimates, that a flood event in this area will equal or exceed the local base flood elevation in any given year. These Zone A areas are at high risk of flooding, and property owners should be well prepared for a flood event. A, AE, and AO flood zones have a 1% annual chance of structural flooding and a 26% chance over the life of a 30-year mortgage. Flood Zone A is found mostly in the rural northeastern and northwestern parts of the parish. There is also another large area of Zone A in the southeastern part of the parish, along Bayou Manchac. Flood Zone AE is found all over the parish. It is different from Zone A in that base flood elevations are provided for these areas. We'll discuss those more in a bit. Flood Zone AO corresponds to the areas of 1% or greater chance of shallow flooding, usually sheet flow on sloping terrain, where average depths are between 1 and 3 feet. These are often areas with high flood velocities, such as alluvial fans and washes. Currently, the only area designated as Zone AO in the parish is just north of I-12, near the 10-12 split. Now that we've covered flood hazard areas, I'll show the other map layers that are visible by default. The stream segment layer displays all identified streams in the parish. Larger named streams are shown with solid lines, and smaller unnamed streams and canals are shown with dashed lines. The base flood elevation, or BFE layer, shows the elevation of surface water resulting from a flood that has a 1% chance of equaling or exceeding that level in any given year. These elevations are shown as red lines within flood zone AE, where detailed hydrologic analysis has been performed. We can see that in this part of Sherwood Forest, the base flood elevation ranges from 41 to 43 feet. If you zoom the map to a neighborhood level, the contour layer will become visible. The contours are shown in 2-foot intervals and include labels indicating the elevation along the length of each line. Contour lines depict the shape of the land surface in 2 dimensions, with the relative spacing of the lines indicating the slope of the surface. Tightly spaced lines indicate a steep slope, commonly found in hills and stream banks. Lines spaced further apart indicate a gentler change in elevation, like you would find in a subdivision development. The map scale in the bottom left corner of the map viewer is useful to understand the distance between the contour lines. Remember that water will always naturally flow from areas of higher elevation to lower elevation. This contour layer is helpful when used in conjunction with the stream segment layer to visualize and understand the flow of water and the respective flood zone designations in our parish. The final 2 default layers relate to approved public requests for map revisions made to this map by FEMA. In some areas of the parish, you will see locations of FEMA letters of map revision, LOMAR, and FEMA letters of map amendment, LOMA, which are shown with green polygons and color-coded dots respectively. To put it simply, as a matter of public record, these layers display the outcome of requests to amend the flood hazard areas. A letter of map amendment, or LOMA, establishes a property's location in relation to the special flood hazard area. Typically, these are issued because a property has been inadvertently mapped as being in the special flood hazard area, but is actually on natural high ground above the base flood elevation. You can left-click on a particular dot in the map to view information about the outcome of that request. The dots are color-coded based on the outcome, as you can see in the legend. More documentation can be found on the FEMA website by clicking this hyperlink and searching for the case number, like this. Periodically, FEMA does slightly modify the flood zones as more detailed analysis is performed or local drainage conditions evolve, so it's useful to check this map to see where you stand if you live near a flood hazard area. If you feel a property has been improperly included in the special flood hazard area, you can submit a request for map revision to FEMA. Predominantly, these are utilized to remove a property from the special flood hazard area due to being filled above the base flood elevation. The URL shown on screen will take you to FEMA's webpage that has detailed information about this process. Now let's cover the 11 map layers that are turned off by default. To help administrators, there's a layer displaying the 12 Metropolitan Council districts. There are also layers that display the 4 incorporated cities within the parish. The city parish does not maintain flood information for properties inside the jurisdictions of Baker, Central, and Zachary. If your property is located within one of these 3 municipalities, then you need to contact the respective floodplain manager. The record inundation layer shows pinpointed locations with the highest water elevations recorded throughout the parish, such as this record of 95 feet near Port Hudson. The flood panel layer references the digital flood insurance rate maps that are in printed format and made available by FEMA. You can also activate the lot and subdivision layers to view information about properties. Occasionally, a piece of property may overlap multiple flood zones, like this, which can affect the insurance rate. Typically, if any portion of the structure touches the special flood hazard area, then it is in the special flood hazard area. The swamp layer shows low-lying swampland areas in the parish, notably Devil's Swamp by Southern University, and the bottomland hardwood forested swamps in the southwest portion of our parish. The Watershed sink layer displays areas where the flow of water is minimal or inconsistent due to surface conditions. These areas were determined by the LSU College of the Coast and Environment, and these sinks are at or below the 100-year flood hazard area and are also very prone to flooding. The drainage maintenance lot layer displays the north, east, and south maintenance areas in the parish, as managed by the City Parish Department of Maintenance. Like always, the Basemap Gallery button allows you to change the underlying basemap. In addition to our standard basemap options, imagery from 2014 is included for historic reference to view the landscape prior to the August 2016 flood. You can open the attribute table from the bottom right corner of the map to view the data in tabular format. From the options menu, you can activate a filter based on your criteria, and this will change the contents of the attribute table as well as the map. For example, let's look for all base flood elevations that are 60 feet or higher. We'll enter an expression specifying that we only want to display these, and the layer is now filtered in the map. You can download your filtered data in CSV format. You can also use the attribute table to select one or more records and then zoom into those locations in the map window. You can search for a specific address in the search bar at the top left, and the map will pan and zoom to that location. This is a quick and easy way to see which flood zone a property lies within. You can manually zoom the map view in and out with these two buttons, or use your mouse's scroll wheel. The button with the house icon restores the default extent of the map. You can give the app permission to access your location with this button. This can be useful if you're out in the field and want to access local flood zone and drainage information. Let's finish by covering the widgets at the bottom of the application. Beyond our 18 default layers, you can add additional layers to the map with the Add Data tool. Maybe you want to add the schools layer to see how your local school lies in a flood zone. Or perhaps you want to check on the future land use to see what type of development is envisioned for an area in relation to local flood zones. Or you may want to add the estimated inundation layer from the August 2016 flood to see how it matches up with the FEMA flood zones. With the Add Data tool, you can add any of our public GIS layers, or go beyond that to add layers from the Esri Living Atlas, or even layers you've created yourself from your content folder. The Query tool allows you to easily isolate an individual flood zone category on the map, which can be helpful since there isn't much contrast in the color scheme between the zones. The query process creates a new map layer. There's also a measurement tool, third from the right, that allows you to quickly determine the distance between 2 points on the map, the latitude and longitude of any point, and the area of a polygon. Make sure to double left click when you're done drawing a line or shape. When you have finished customizing the map, you can print a copy, share it, and even embed it into a web page. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.